In 1957, Harold Macmillan confidently asserted, "You've never had it so good," and for the baby boomer generation, that seemed accurate. They enjoyed rising living standards, home ownership, and the National Health Service, where seeing a general practitioner wasn't an ordeal. They were witnessing an upward trend in prosperity. However, contemporary studies indicate that millennials and Generation Z might be the first to encounter declining incomes, poorer job opportunities, limited social mobility, and a severely dysfunctional housing market. Today's youth are becoming increasingly despondent, with the majority believing their financial futures to be bleaker than those of their parents. But the question arises, is the prevailing pessimism overblown? Was life truly better in a time where dinners often consisted of spam and canned carrots? Let's delve into the reasons behind the younger generation's frustration and assess its legitimacy. If we examine the United Kingdom's gross domestic product over recent decades, we see a clear uptick in national output and income, hinting that younger generations should be thriving. But two critical issues arise: the marked declaration of growth since the 2008 financial crisis, and the crumbling connection between GDP and actual living standards. This is further exemplified by real wages, where the slowdown is even more pronounced, and the long-standing belief that wages would steadily increase has been shattered. An alarming Financial Times study reveals that millennial income trails that of the previous generation, a historical anomaly of youth not faring better than their predecessors. At this juncture, a typical columnist from the Daily Mail might argue that the younger generation enjoys unprecedented access to consumer goods like takeaway coffee, avocado toast, and Netflix subscriptions. Speaking of which, one advantage that the older generation certainly didn't have is the ability to subscribe to services like NordVPN, enhancing browser security and offering global IP addresses. Such technology enables experiences like watching the BBC iPlayer from the US or accessing region-blocked Netflix shows, perks unimaginable to our parents' generation. And despite the high cost of housing and the looming threat of job replacement by artificial intelligence, these are modern conveniences that past generations could not fathom. It's possible to secure a NordVPN deal that offers considerable savings and includes 4 additional free months with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. But before we accept the argument that amenities like Netflix signify an improved lot for the younger generation, consider this. A Netflix subscription represents less than 0.5% of the average monthly rent. In 2023, the average housing deposit soared to £34,000. That's 575 years of Netflix subscriptions. The issue runs deeper than stagnant wages. Millennials are grappling with the increased student loan repayments, which have effectively become a new tax. For graduates earning £28,000, 9% goes towards loan repayments, creating a staggering 40% marginal tax rate for those over £50,000 annually. It's an effective 51% marginal tax rate. This financial weight was not borne by previous generations. Although more people now attend university, it comes at the cost of substantial financial strain. Perhaps the gravest challenge facing younger generations is the housing crisis. With soaring house prices and rents, affordability is at an all-time low. While 60% of individuals born in the 1950s and the 1960s owned a home by age 30, this percentage drops to 36% for those born in the 1980s, a stark indicator of increased difficulty in home ownership. Furthermore, current homeowners pay significantly more over longer periods. In the 1970s, the average mortgage interest was about 99.5% of the home loan, with an average mortgage of £6,600. Compare that to today's figures of £156,000 in the 2010s and £223,000 now. Consequently, those with recent mortgages are severely impacted by rising interest rates. The post-war boom introduced a new social contract, including the rapid construction of council houses and healthcare freely available. However, the sale of over 1.5 million council houses, which were not replaced, and opposition from the baby boomer generation against new housing developments have resulted in a rental accommodation shortage, escalated market rents, and heightened homelessness risks. The 20th century saw a significant rise in social mobility, with many children out-earning their parents. But since 2017, this progress has reversed, with a dip in earnings contributing to the overall problem. Nearly 2/3 of those aged 20 to 29 have less than a month's income saved, contrasting with the surge in millionaire households among pensioners, a 400% increase. The discrepancy is further exacerbated by soaring student loan interest rates and rents consuming up to 30% of disposable income. Amidst these challenges, the government has maintained expensive policies like the triple lock on pensions. The Economist suggests that if this continues, pension spending could skyrocket to over 20% of GDP in 20 years. With an aging population and growing healthcare demands, the welfare state is strained as never before. The high tax burden as a share of GDP is the highest it's ever been since World War II, yet public services are still under extreme pressure. The economic and social costs borne by the younger generation, especially during COVID-19 lockdowns, have been substantial, with little to no compensation. While the wealth gap between boomers and millennials is often highlighted, it's important to note that this disparity doesn't account for the fact that there are simply more boomers. And while parental wealth will eventually transfer to children, it's also true that current wealth stretches less than before, contributing to greater inequality and a decline in the dream of equal opportunity. Despite these hurdles, it's not all dire. While income growth has stalled, it hasn't plummeted. Education levels are higher, potentially increasing earning power, though the value of a degree has diminished with the increase in university attendance. Rather than fostering intergenerational conflict, it's crucial to address collective issues such as housing affordability, to relieve the younger generation's economic and social pressures. In essence, living standards have improved, but the potential for a much better quality of life exists if the housing crisis and cost of living challenges are addressed. The problem is not solely intergenerational inequality, but a broader stagnation in the UK and global economic growth and investment. This analysis offers insights into why UK public services are struggling and whether change is possible. I hope this discussion has been informative, and I look forward to exploring more topics with you in the future. Please don't forget to subscribe, as it does help the channel grow, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.